He adored Teddy Roosevelt, visited all the national parks, and served in both World Wars. His love of Lincoln was so strong that when he came to visit his Atlanta grandchildren, he taught us all the words to "Marching Through Georgia," which we blithely sang in an open convertible, oblivious to any impact it may have had on those Atlantans disinclined to celebrate the march that burned their city to the ground. Today it's easy to smile. No wonder I never felt at home in the place. At the time, it only enforced my sense that we were fighters for justice and right. Like any American child, I learned something about the Holocaust, but it was too far away to dent or even shadow my own life. What were present were moments like the sticky summer day in Georgia when my mother invited an African-American friend to bring her children across town to play in our yard. 5 years after Brown versus Board of Education, native white Atlantans were threatening to close down the school system rather than integrate it, a threat some counties carried out. Using skills she'd learned in an early stint in advertising, my mother and her friends from the newly organized HOPE, Help Our Public Education, were working to forestall the violence the Supreme Court decision ignited elsewhere. Meanwhile, she wanted to prepare her children for desegregation by arranging what was not yet called a playdate. The black folks we knew were all someone's servants, and she wanted us to have equal and normal relations with African Americans who were not. That's why her friend from the movement was there. Our backyard was large and surrounded by woods where we could hide, hunt for arrowheads, play capture the flag, but it was too hot for any of that, and no amount of lemonade could change it. "Let's go to the pool," I said. "We can't," said my mother shortly. "Why not?" I began to whine. "We always go to the pool when it gets this hot." "We just can't," said my mother. I was too young to notice whether she and her friend exchanged glances. "Then can we go to the lake?" The park at Red Top Mountain was usually muddy, not as nice as the pool, but the air was getting stickier by the minute. "We can't go to the lake today either," said my mother. "Why not?" I demanded, encouraging my little brother to chime in. In the end, we had to settle for playing under the sprinkler that watered the grass. I didn't settle graciously. How could I guess that it was against the law for black and white children to swim together, not only in the big concrete pools to which white Southerners flocked on such days, but in the lakes that studded the county by the grace of God? As far as I could tell, my mother was just being unreasonable. Perhaps it was unreasonable to imagine she could construct normal relations, even for an afternoon, in a system as unreasonable and violent as the segregated South. I'm still glad she tried. By the time I knew enough to apologize for the embarrassment my fuss surely caused her, she had trouble remembering the day. Southern plants still pull me deep, as though I had roots there. Dogwood, honeysuckle, azalea, even a magnolia tree in the backyard of my childhood. The newness of green. Chlorophyll sounds like medicine, but that green is the color of life itself. It's the promise that grips us, the world that begins again with each new leaf and each new life, unmarred by sticky fingers or sandbox scuffles. My mother always wanted to follow the springtime, starting in the deep South and driving steadily north to catch that moment of color ever again. She never did. Every budding tree reminds me of her longing. Apart from the plants, what sticks in memory are the places I made my own. The smell of hot rain as it hit the marble steps of the local library I visited every week. The kudzu-draped ruins in the woods that must have been a mansion burned by Sherman's troops. We lived in one of the prettier, not-quite suburbs on the edge of northwest Atlanta, but everything made it apparent.